Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Straight to the Point webinar series where we talk about anything and everything that your student needs to know to become a Hornet in the fall. My name is Emily Elbert, and I'm the recruitment coordinator with undergraduate admissions. And essentially, my job is to obviously help recruit students to come to ESU, but I also help with this parent engagement, planning events, and things like that of that nature. I have one other campus partner that's going to be joining us today. Her name is Blythe Eddy. She is the senior director of the Center for Student Involvement, and she's going to be talking about student involvement opportunities here soon. But before that, I just want to let you know that we're going to do a quick recap today, talk a little bit about housing and enrollment, obviously, because enrollment is at its highest peak right now. And then we're also going to talk about just a few tips here and there, reminders to go over. So first things first, what can your student work on now? Your student, first things first, if your student hasn't applied, now is a great time to apply to ESU. It is never too late. Let me tell you this. You can apply at any point in time. Our application takes 5 to 10 minutes to complete, and just pay that $30 app fee and you're good to go. The next thing I would say for your student to do right now, whether they are a junior or a senior transfer, regardless of their status, is coming to visit campus. So we have black and gold events throughout the spring. We've had a couple already, but our next two are coming up. We actually have one this Friday on April 14th, and then we have another one on Saturday, April 29th. So a couple more opportunities for the spring for your student to come visit at one of our large-scale recruitment events. And then obviously we've got our daily campus visits. So we've got campus visits that run Monday through Friday, and they're super personalized. There's usually less visitors, so a lot more one-on-one time with your campus tour guide and your admissions counselor if they're here on campus as well. And then your student also gets that advising appointment at the end. So something to think about for your student if they haven't visited campus, to definitely visit campus in one of those ways. And then if your student has visited campus, they are admitted, next step is enrollment. So last webinar, we talked a little bit about Hornet Connection. We kind of broke it down for you and talked a little bit more about the steps. So basically, Hornet Connection is the way that we have new incoming students enroll. However, if for some reason one of the dates does not work for your student, that's totally okay. We do accept one-on-one enrollment appointments. So have your student reach out to their admissions counselor, and they will work with advising to set up a one-on-one enrollment appointment, usually about 30 minutes to an hour, just depends. But your student will be able to either do that in person, they can come here to campus to enroll, and or do that virtually through Teams. But if your student wants to come to Hornet Connection, the last remaining dates that we have for the semester, we have one this Saturday on April 15th. As far as I know, registration's still open. However, if it happens to close by the time your student goes to register, make sure that they reach out to their admissions counselor and we will get them signed up right away. We've got another one next Saturday. And then from there, we've got a couple in May. We've got one in June and one in July. And then we usually host a walk-in enrollment in August. So lots of dates still available, but I like to say get your student enrolled sooner rather than later. Some of those, especially gen ed classes, tend to fill up a little bit faster. You've got sophomores competing for those classes. So if your student's wanting specific classes, I definitely recommend getting enrolled sooner. And you can register online. You can just go to emporia.edu/Hornet Connection, and your student will register for a date. They'll fill out a pre-enrollment profile form. So essentially that goes to the advisor to let them know, one, the major they're interested in, two, any of the activities or groups, athletics, things that they're interested in when they come to campus in the fall. Their advisor can get them connected with those resources before they're a student. And then also, if you are wondering what the schedule is for Hornet Connection, your student should get a follow-up email. That follow-up email should include the schedule for Hornet Connection. However, if you've got additional questions that you want to know more about, there is a FAQ page located on the Hornet Connection registration website. So be sure to check that out for any additional questions that you have. And then obviously you can reach out to your admissions counselor as well. The next thing I want to cover is a few things about housing. So it's obviously not too late for your student to apply, but it's also not too late for them to fill out their housing application if they're already admitted. Housing application is open as of, I think, February 1st. So it's been open, and there is a priority deadline of May 1st. However, this doesn't mean that your student only has till May 1st to fill it out. They can definitely fill it out after that if something comes up. But they set that priority deadline because that first pool of students from February to May, they start assigning their roommates and or their rooms. So they start those housing assignments sometime in May, and then your student will be notified over the summer what room they have been assigned to and or roommate. If your student is wanting to roommate with a specific other student, they'll just have to go into their housing application and create what we call a roommate group. So your student notifies the housing app that they want this other student to be their roommate, and then the other student will also have to do that. So in turn, it creates a roommate group, and that way we can ensure that they're roommates in the fall, regardless of what they're preferencing for their rooms. And I just want to reiterate, our housing assignments are based on a lottery system. So it's not a first come, first serve. So if someone filled out that housing app on February 1st, they're not guaranteed to get their assignment first. It's based on a lottery system. So anyone that's applied between February and May will be in a lottery system, and they will try their darndest. They do a really good job of getting your students' first preference on their room types, whether it's by residence hall or by room type or themed floor community. They really do a good job of getting your student where they need to be. When your student fills out the housing application, there's 3 main parts that are super duper important. So within the housing application, they're obviously going to set room preferences. I said that, but they're also going to choose a meal plan, and they're going to submit a prepayment after they electronically sign. So make sure that they are getting fully all the way through the housing application, getting to that electronic signature. When a student submits a prepayment, we don't want to call it a deposit because it's not an additional fee, but that prepayment is $200, and 100 of that goes to their fall housing plan, and then 100 of it goes to their fall meal plan. So that is kind of like a prepayment just to get them in there and make sure that they've got their spot secured. And then the last thing is meningitis compliance. So make sure that your student is uploading their immunization records to the student wellness portal so that they got that meningitis compliance. Once your student submits their housing application, they can go back into the ResLife portal using their ESU login to double check their application to see if they are missing any items, they need to submit anything, and or just check the status of it, see if it's been approved, they've been assigned a room, a roommate, etc. And then just a few housing tips and reminders that they wanted us to cover is that we do require first-year freshmen to live on campus the first year. There are certain exemptions that follow that. We do housing accommodations for disabilities and things along those lines. So make sure that you're contacting Residential Life if you need those accommodations or exemptions from living on campus. But yeah, we do require that first-year students do live on campus. And then another question that we had is, can my student bring their own vehicle? Yes. We are a campus that fully supports your student having transportation. Even though we're a smaller campus and you can usually walk across campus in about 8 minutes, when it gets cold outside, you're going to want to drive from one end to the other if it's a blizzard out there. So yes, we do allow students who live on campus and students that are off campus to bring their vehicles to campus to park. We do have parking all around campus. We've got metered parking. We've got colored parking. Typically, students who live on campus will purchase a parking pass for on-campus students. There's a specific color that will have parking lots that are closest to the dorms so that they've got a place to park when they want to go back to their dorm room. So just keep that in mind. And then again, once they submit their housing app, they can go back and check their status. So that's all the stuff that I have to cover initially here. So I'm going to bring Blythe back on. And she's going to talk about the Center for Student Involvement and how your student can get involved on campus.
All right. Thank you, Emily. I am really thankful to be able to be here today to share with you about all of the different opportunities there are at Emporia State for your student to be involved. I would have to say that being involved in a student organization can definitely enhance the experience that a student has from beyond the classroom. So there are between 80 and 90 different student organizations that students can belong to. They range from fraternity and sororities to academic organizations, honorary organizations, lots of different choices for students to choose from. So they may be involved in high school, or you might be involved in a community college somewhere else. But even if you haven't been involved before, there is absolutely something for every student to do at Emporia State as far as involvement. So in the Center for Student Involvement, we have the Director of Fraternity Sorority Life, Jaden Ray. Also, I work with new student programs and campus engagement. And then we will be having here in a couple of months a new employee. His name's Brant Holst, and he will be the advisor of our Union Activities Council and Community Service. Also in the Center for Student Involvement is the Diversity Student Programs and Basic Needs Coordinator, Diversity Student Programs Director, Mike Torres, and the Basic Needs Coordinator, Kale Bolin. And we're full house almost. So it's really, really exciting. All of the different, I guess, support staff, if I could say that, support staff to get students involved when they get on campus. So we have students, even in our office, who can sit down with other students and explain all of the different options. And probably the biggest resource that I want to leave you with is it's a site called Hornet Central. So ESU Hornet Central is the place that you can find all of the different organizations that you can belong to. So it's esuhornetcentral.com. And there we have lots of categories, fraternity, sororities, cultural identity-based organizations, religious organizations, athletic-based, artistic, maybe politics. So maybe if someone has been involved in STUCO at the high school level, we do have student government here, honorary organizations, community service organizations, academic organizations, and of course, fraternity sorority life again. So many ways to be involved. Just for example, we have Associated Student Government. That's like STUCO. I worked with a group called Union Activities Council, and they are responsible for bringing entertainment to campus. So whether or not it's a speaker or it's a musician, maybe a comedian or a big, huge obstacle course, the students are responsible for bringing that program to other students just so there's plenty to do. We do have a disc golf club. We have an esports club. We have a knitting club. Students come together and they knit together. It's really, really neat to see all the friendships that are made for students who choose to hang out together and have some similarities. And really, you make friends for life if you are involved in a student organization. There's plenty of opportunities for us to meet you, or plenty of opportunities for us to be able to share about all the recognized student organizations. In August, there is something we call the Huge Activities Fair, and student organizations set up tables in the Memorial Union, and they host the table and try to get students to be involved in their group. So it's not just something that's online. You'll actually get to meet the people who are in the organization. So lots of different ways to meet other students in organizations and learn more about how to get involved. So just want you to start thinking about how, what do you want your first year to look like at Emporia State? I would not be one to say, I'm going to stay in my room and not get involved. You're missing out. I'd have to say that too. You're definitely missing out. I don't know how many times I've heard a senior say, I really wish that I would have been involved when I was a freshman, because all of a sudden it's over and you didn't get involved in everything that you wanted to. So please stop by the Center for Student Involvement and we will help you get involved. Back to Emily.
Awesome. Thank you, Blythe. I just wanted to, something I thought of while Blythe was talking, along with getting involved, there are lots of opportunities for students to work on campus. I know I'm kind of just going on a whim here, but I think it's super important to mention that because one, students, when they apply for financial aid, they might qualify for work study. And if you don't know what that is, that's a job that a student could get on campus that could pay them to help pay the cost of their tuition. It could pay the student to help with their meals or transportation, books and supplies. So I feel like that is something that needs to be said. And along with that activities fair, there's usually a job fair, right?
Yes.
Usually the first week of class. So even if your student doesn't qualify for work study, they can still work on campus. They can work in the CSI center. They can work here in admissions. They can work as a receptionist for the dorms. I mean, there's just endless opportunities, and the benefits of working on campus and getting involved on campus is that they're going to work with your school schedule too. So your student has class at 10 a.m. They've got class at 1 p.m. They can work for a couple hours in the morning, go to class, work for another couple hours, go to class. And, it's just an endless cycle, but like they're getting the hours that they need. They're getting the experience that they need by working for higher education as a student. So super good opportunity there. That's just another way. I just wanted to throw that in there. But I think that's all we have for you guys tonight. So thank you again for tuning in and watching our Straight to the Point webinar series. Our next one is actually not until Wednesday, June 7th. I know that sounds like so far away. My wedding is coming up in June, so I'm scared that that time is ticking by so fast. But we're going to give you the month of May to really focus on your students, especially senior parents. We've got graduation, we've got scholarship ceremonies. You've probably got state track, you've got baseball tournaments. So there's just so much going on in May that we want to give you a break for a little bit, and then we'll hit the ground running back in June, where we're going to talk about e-experience. We're going to talk a little bit more. We're going to make sure that you know that enrollment's still going on, and then we're going to talk about a few other things too. So stay tuned, keep watching the Straight to the Point webinar series, and we will see you next time. Stingers up.